Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Resident Evil 2 Remake playthrough, and we're picking up Leon's second run now. They don't call it the A and B scenarios anymore, which is good because they aren't really the A and B scenarios as we remember them. But, you know, second run gives you a different sort of remixed campaign to play through as the second character, and does preserve the you need to play as both characters to get the actual ending kind of thing that Resi 2 had going on. So, you know, they kept that at least. It was, unfortunately, a little disappointing to find that every other cool aspect of the A and B scenario system was gone.
Yeah, the problem with that these days is that it takes so much more work to do games like this.
Yeah, I can get that. Because they'd have to do, like, a whole different set of cutscenes for the A and B scenarios. And it looks like in weird places they were intending to do that at some point in development, but they didn't. So, one thing that's good about the B scenario, though, is that you get to skip past the tutorial in this, like, smash cut through the cutscenes.
Oh, you beat the game already. You beat the game already. You don't need to do this.
Yeah. So they just jump you straight to the city.
You get the gas station highlight reels.
Yep.
Yeah, but we don't get to see that guy's burger, though.
Resident Evil Abridged.
Don't worry, the B scenario has its own funny trucker. In any case, yeah, in the B scenario, the original game, okay, the A scenario you ran through like a little linear labyrinth of hallways and alleyways and stuff, and cut through the gun shop and all of that. In the B scenario, you pretty much would just run through a few screens and end up at the police station. The weird thing about that is, the B scenario character technically arrived at the police station first because of that, which is why the B scenario character gets to be the one to see, like, the helicopter crash and all that. No such thing here. They actually have the B scenario character waiting outside the gate for a while for the A scenario character to come and pick him up. So they kind of reversed it. And the reason they reversed it is because, I don't know. I don't know why they reversed it, because no matter who you play as, the A scenario character is always going to fight whoever Claire's or Leon's boss are. When in the original they had their own bosses based on what scenario they were in. It's okay. Wait, hang on. I'm explaining this poorly. The A and B scenario thing was always weird, but they went to the trouble of staggering the arrival so that the B scenario character in the remake would always arrive last, right? So why would they do that? In the original game, it made sense because the A scenario character would always be the one to fight Birkin at the lift and hop the train, and the B scenario character, who arrived first, would always be the one to get the train moving. They kind of swapped the storylines around in the remake so that Claire would fight the A scenario boss, but also would be the one to get the train moving. Which makes sense if she's the A scenario character, because she arrived first. So she goes through the whole rigmarole in the lab first. I'm sorry, Cloudflare is affecting my voice too.
It's a very Porky Pig-esque moment there.
You thought I was gonna say son of a bitch, didn't you?
The concept of the A and B scenario characters in the original game is so cool that it actually causes tongue twisters.
Seems so.
In any case.
Yeah, now we're playing as babyface Leon.
Yeah.
It's so weird seeing him, like, optimistic and wide-eyed when, A, there's zombies, so he should be a little bit more freaked out, and B, like, you're used to him being edgy, cool Leon Kennedy who pretends that he's awesome.
Maybe he's still trying to process all the emotions of what's happening around
Yeah, it took him 6 years for that.
Like, I think
Yeah, because both games, I think, do a good job of emphasizing just like how much of a dork Leon was in his beginnings.
Yeah, but Leon here is a dork that's not trying to not be a dork, whereas Resident Evil 4 Leon is trying not to be a dork. You know? Like, because he's a cool government agent and stuff like that. Whereas...
Yeah, before you begin killing everything, you first have to kill your
In
emotions.
Resident Evil 4, Leon was just in the dumbest situation ever, so he gave up, essentially. I mean, how do you take things seriously after Spanish Napoleon? You don't.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think Resident Evil 4 is even the dumbest situation by Resident Evil standards, though, because this series gets pretty dumb.
It gets
All things
dumb.
gets-
The series was always
It gets
dumb.
dumb in the
Yeah.
sense that its storyline gets convoluted. In Resident Evil 4, the situation was intentionally dumb. Like, it was
No,
silly. It
no,
was.
Are you a bad enough dude to rescue the president's daughter?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
it-
there's some normal dumb stuff in the earlier games, too. Like, I'll just gesture to Code Veronica and then not
Code Veronica
say-
wasn't intentionally dumb. Code Veronica was anime writers trying to be deep. There's a difference, okay?
Again, I always say it's like, what gives you the implication
you know-
that the first Resident Evil, like that the original Resident Evil games were dumb? And I was like, dude, Wesker in a lab coat with sunglasses.
Yeah.
on. It's like that's all you need.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that one. But here's the thing.
Also, the
Okay.
giant snake.
I'm pretty sure I
Code-
could think of other things
giant
if I put my
snake.
mind to it.
Here,
the-
the giant snake was
The
not.
shark
it-
zombies.
the sharks were okay, just kind of
It-
there.
Giant
it-
But
spiders, giant
I
plant
have a thing to
monster.
say about Code
A
Veronica.
hybrid.
Hi, Brad. I have a thing to say about Code Veronica, and it's simply that the situation in Code Veronica would have been a lot more chilling and a lot less silly if the voice acting weren't so bad.
Well,
you
the
know?
voice acting's bad in
it-
all of them, to
Yeah,
be fair.
well, no, it's weird. Resident Evil 1 is still pretty dumb, but it kind of is a little it's self-aware enough to not try too hard on that front. I feel Resident Evil 2, both the original and this one, original voice acting and kind of some silliness notwithstanding, are solid enough stories and character situations to where it's not really dumb.
Yeah.
It plays it straight for sure, but it's not like, oh look, this convenient thing happened that helps us on our way.
Well, I think there's a difference between dumb and
You say
silly.
that as we
Yeah.
just happen to find the courtyard key that we need to get through the gate, like 2 rooms away. Okay.
To be fair, we're in the locker room.
Yeah, but who would leave the key to the courtyard of the police station outside the police station? It's like, are you asking are you asking for terrorists?
Well,
to
no,
seize this
we are
facility?
still in the police station. We're just in the courtyard of it.
Okay, whatever.
Also, you notice you're aiming your sights at Brad's head in the poster. Were you hoping to
As,
get a special key?
Wait, is
No,
that what
I
you have
just
to do
don't
for
like
secret
Brad. He's
in
an
the
asshole. Anyway,
Okay,
In the original game, if you got to the police station without picking up any items, you would summon a zombified Brad.
and he would
Vickers.
appear in that staircase
location.
underneath at that location. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they put that Easter egg there to reference it, but he's not in this game anymore.
No.
Okay.
But you kill him, you get a special key, which gives you an alternate
Yeah.
costume.
Okay, so we rolled right over it, but Leon picked up another handgun, which dork that he is, he's holding out in his gangster style. I say gangster rather than gangsta because that's just how dorky Leon is. But
This is a mechanic I find unnecessary in the second run.
this
the
feels
different handgun.
yeah, this feels like a attempt to make the game harder because it's the second run.
somewhat, yeah. But it's interesting because the guns that they give you are basically references to costumes that aren't in the remake anymore. And I would have rather just had the costumes, to be honest. But like Leon holds his what is it, the M19, whatever. I think it's a gun from Resi 7. He holds the gun out like sideways, and he would only do that with his handgun in the original if you were wearing his 90s street punk outfit.
Why you gotta aim it like that, Luke? It looks cooler.
Doesn't aiming it like that make it so that you have way more recoil because your hand can't
Somewhat.
hold the gun?
It's also
your
inaccurate.
aiming is just
It
worse.
depends on what gun you're using. Some guns you can actually use a sideways aim to let the recoil like sweep you through a
Why-
sideways arc.
Why don't you try curbing the bullets?
But that's like it's like something you would do with like an Uzi or something. You hold it sideways, hold down the trigger, and let the recoil sweep it through a sideways sweep. And that's something that you can do. I don't think it has any benefits whatsoever with a fucking handgun, though.
You know
But
what? You're
the
saying that, and it
recoil-
makes a little bit of sense.
The
yeah.
recoil, to give them credit for attention to detail here, if you were paying attention, the recoil while using this handgun does jerk your camera sideways a little. So that's a thing.
Nice of Claire to tear up the paper that I need to find the stuff.
It wasn't Claire. It was probably Marvin. Because he doesn't want anyone following Claire, I suppose.
Well, Marvin sucks.
Yeah, he does. He kind of does. I mean,
maybe it was Mr. X.
Let's just ignore how much of a stellar copy he's been this whole time. No, Marvin sucks.
Yeah, Marvin
Does
sucks.
Marvin meet with?
Fuck you, Marvin.
Does Marvin meet both A and B characters in the?
By the time B character gets here, he's already a zombie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you get a different scene with Marvin depending on who you play through the A scenario as, which is pretty neat. And it's the only time they do something like that, too. Fuck.
Yeah, but actually, to go back into the secondary gun, actually goes into the DLC because the Samurai Edge weapons that Lewis has there are actually DLC.
Yeah, and they all use 9mm.
And they're basically they're all 9mm guns. And by the second scenario, I had the DLC ready to go, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll use the second run playthrough to actually show off these guns. And to my dismay, I'm not getting ammo for any of these weapons.
Yeah.
Because you're only getting ammo for the
That's
other
the
gun.
catch in second run. You don't get 9mm guns. You get these 45s. And the 45s power your special B scenario gun, which is a hell of a lot more of an advantage as Claire than it is as Leon, just going to say, because the single action army just fires so goddamn fast. But in order to get 9mm ammo,
You have to mix it.
You have to mix gunpowder for it, yeah. So you get a significantly harder B scenario as Leon than you do as Claire, because as Claire is like, okay, I can't use my pissy little 9mm handguns. Oh, I'm crying here, and then you just stick to your cool revolver for the whole game. In Leon's case, the 9mm handgun is actually really good once it's upgraded, and you want that 9mm ammo for certain fights. So yeah, keep some gunpowder. I remember when Markiplier was doing his Let's Play, he hoarded it all until the end of the B scenario. And then at the very end, he did this really dramatic editing skit where he where he just mixed together all his handgun ammo into one massive stack and unloaded it all onto the final boss.
Did it work?
Yeah, it actually did. It was a nice payoff for him hoarding his gunpowder and pissing me off for the entire playthrough.
Yeah, that was always a weird thing watching playthroughs of this game when it came out, because everyone was like, "Gotta hang on to the gunpowder in case I need to get hang on to the gunpowder."
And they're not using their wooden boards either. That pissed me off too.
Well, the wooden boards is one thing. It's more, after you play the game, you realize there's more than enough gunpowder to go along. You can afford to use one every now and again to get you back up to speed.
It's like Resi 3. You're not really meant to hoard it. It's more like it gives you a little bit more control over what your ammo supply looks like.
Use it as you go.
Use it as you go, and like if you're saving
I like to hang on a little bit just in case something goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, like if you're saving it, you should probably be saving it because you want a specific type of ammo rather than because you just think you're gonna run out.
I mean, to be fair, we're also professional backseat gamers, so whenever anybody does anything, like it's honestly, BrainScratch comms has ruined me. I can't watch other people play video games now. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, the BS and BSC stands for backseat.
So,
Backseat
you know what? You can talk to my friend Catherine about this. I'm absolutely terrible whenever I watch her play any games. I'm absolutely obnoxious, and it's taken.
I'm pretty sure all of us are like that for everybody we watch play a game that we love playing.
Yeah.
That's specifically when anyone says, "Will Ryan do a Kingdom Hearts game?" I tell them it has to be Kingdom Hearts 2, just to annoy John for how terrible I'm playing.
And then we can have things Ryan did wrong. Number 76.
No, but you see, it's not funny though if you're doing it on purpose.
I'm not doing it on purpose. I just suck at the games.
I probably suck a little at that game too. Kingdom Hearts 2 has way too good a combat system for a Kingdom Hearts game. I mean, it's the outlier. Kingdom Hearts 3's combat system isn't as good as 2's. Neither is Birth by Sleep.
No.
So.
No.
I mean, like, they get the surface level stuff down.
You
but
don't deserve this combat. It wasn't meant for you.
No, it's so weird. The Kingdom Hearts 2 just has, like, better combat on a deep mechanical level that most Kingdom Hearts players won't appreciate in the first place.
Well,
So,
I mean, doesn't Kingdom Hearts... from what I remember of the reviews for Kingdom Hearts 2, that game's really easy, so doesn't Kingdom Hearts 2 not even deserve Kingdom Hearts 2?
Well, the original release, sure, not Final Mix.
Well, I mean, to be fair, people are still
also,
doing
there's
things
difficulty
like...
modes and all that stuff, too.
Yeah, but people are still doing things
Yeah.
like I purposefully have to keep myself at level 1 in order to make this game, which is like, okay,
Well, they're just being
Pokemon's
cocky.
people
Yeah.
are like, okay, well that Pokemon's challenging. If you
When I
play
say
Nuzlocke.
Kingdom Hearts 2 has a good combat system, I'm mostly talking about stuff like the way combos work mechanically. Like, you're not as animation locked in Kingdom Hearts 2 as you would be in the other games. It's like comparing Arkham Knight to Arkham Origins, you know?
Which one's Kingdom Hearts 2 in that comparison?
Kingdom Hearts 2 would be the
Arkham-
Arkham games that were made by the Arkham developers. And Arkham Origins would be all the other Kingdom Hearts games.
Okay.
The Osaka team.
Yeah.
I
It's like,
thought
you know,
Batman was American.
I'm not super.
No, Batman. Was it Batman Ninja?
Yeah.
There's the one who went to Japan.
Okay, so what would a Batman level in Kingdom Hearts look like, right? Would Batman... Well, I mean... Batman's all about the darkness,
all right,
so would
okay,
he help
so
Sora?
there is a Big Hero 6 world in Kingdom Hearts 3. Just crank up the rain and blood, and you got Gotham City.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying that like Batman's all about using the darkness. So would he be more of like
Right.
a Riku kind of character then, where darkness
Yes.
isn't evil or something?
Yeah, Riku's with Batman because they're all being cool, and then Sora's hanging out with Shorts and Pixie Boots Robin because they're both huge dorks.
I hate Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, so we've spent
I do too.
about half a part just running circles around this particular wing because I wanted to collect all of the
I was going to say
items.
we only did that because he wanted to collect everything.
Yeah, I wanted to collect all of the items and dump them in the item box, which you actually probably should do in the B scenario because it's quite a bit harder in general. But yeah, I've dumped all my items. I've got everything there is to get, I think.
Are you locked out of these items later? Or...
No.
No,
You start on this wing, and you actually do put the fuse in the fuse box to open the shutter. So, unlike in the A scenario, you can come back into this side anytime you want, rather than having to wait until you work back around to it. But you don't have the item box out here, so you need to use the item box way over there.
Is anybody here?
I probably should have picked this up before I went to whatever. I give up.
Also, unfortunately, there is no item box in the main hall.
Yeah. There is a hip pouch, though. That's
Don't know where it
thanks.
Claire took it with her.
went. Why?
You see, here's the thing though.
Mr. X!
They
So
moved
in
this here. I wasn't expecting it.
You see, a Resident Evil game should have cargo shorts be an upgrade, and then you instantly get like 16 pocket spaces.
Yeah, one of the big changes to B scenario, Mr. X shows up basically right from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't show up until you get to the STARS office. But they do tease him being there.
Well, it's meant to be the harder mode, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah.
Does he stay longer too? Because if I remember correctly, Mr. X was only around for like a decent amount of time, but not like I'd say a significant majority of the game.
In the A scenario, Mr. X only shows up for the one visit to the main police station building, the second one, when you get past the helicopter. In this one, he shows up there too, but he also shows up during the first visit. Also, when you're playing as Leon, specifically as Leon, whether it's A or B, there are a few small segments toward the end of the game where Mr. X shows up because he's the final boss when you're playing as Leon.
Huh, okay.
So I'm like, okay, I have this one piece of paper with half the code for...
Brute force, brute force, brute force.
Is it always the same code?
No, it's the
Yes.
the combinations in the B scenario are different.
Oh, okay. I mean, in the combinations in the B scenario are always the same, but they're different from A
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah.
Okay. But it is one of those things
So
where you can know the code, even though Leon should not be able to know the code.
Yes.
Okay.
The thing
You
the
just get
thing
to the third. You already know, and Leon gets the third one. It's like, wow, I'm just on a roll on guessing today.
the thing about the thing about the B scenario though is that you need to find the different parts and pieces of this notebook. One of them is sitting like right on the couch that Marvin was sitting on in the A scenario, which is why I think that Marvin was the one who ripped it up. But I miss it completely until after I get all the medallions here. So, oops. I'm sorry to break your immersion.
I think like my playthrough time was practically double, just trying to hit all the notes from the original game to see if the items were there, and there weren't.
Yeah.
Between A and B, I believe all the saves and locker combinations are the same, though.
Yeah. The safe and locker combinations are indeed the same, which is why I'm going to unlock this now.
It wouldn't make any sense if they. Well, I know we talked about the statue having different.
I mean, I wouldn't.
different
I wouldn't. I
emblems,
mean,
but-
I wouldn't mind it based on the fact that this is supposed to be harder, and since you have played the first, A scenario
Right.
first, I think that kind of cheapens the difficulty a smidge on that front.
On the other hand,
Provided you've gone out of your way to get them in the first place.
on the other
of course.
hand, the upgrades are like for your regular 9mm, and it's like, okay,
And the upgrades also just change entirely, depending on the character.
yeah. The thing is, your high caliber handgun doesn't get any upgrades whatsoever. So that's another kind of downer for. God damn it! Stop swaying so much. Sit still so I can shoot you in the head.
Hold still so I can shoot you. Come on, Leon, go up and roundhouse kick them off the edge. All right, roundhouse kick requires a special government training.
With the third-person perspective over the shoulder camera, being able to kneecap a zombie and not being able to follow up with a kick or a suplex is really disappointing with Leon. But I understand this is before that time, so.
He hasn't learned how to kick yet.
Damn it, Marvin, sit
But
still.
still, even as a rookie cop, you had to have gone through some training before you got to this part.
Like, they make you
can
take
still
a
punch
physical at the
somebody.
very least.
I'm pretty sure.
You are in fact a living being. Welcome to the Force, Leon.
I'm pretty sure most of the hand-to-hand combat they teach in Police Academy is pretty down to earth. So.
I'm pretty sure the RPD stands for real police dude.
But you're from a video game, Leon. What?
I'm what now?
do 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 do.
Again, when you got the old PS1 models on, it's retro police dude.
So wait, is the retro the police or is the retro the dude?
Yes.
Okay, because now I'm just imagining the entire police force being PS1 models. You know.
And Leon's totally normal, and he's just like, what the fuck?
How do you do, everybody?
How do you do, fellow humans?
Okay, no, I guess at this point in time in this early in Leon's career, he's rookie police dude.
So that rambunctious police dude.
Yeah, depending on the actions he does here.
Okay, so running back to the item box. Yeah, the B scenario is a bit rancid with running back to the item box just in the natural flow of play, because the item box.
Or that
is so,
could just be you.
the item box is so goddamn far away that when you get stuff like the muzzle brake upgrade, it's like, yeah, I don't want to keep this in my very limited inventory, so I'm gonna run back to the item box. Right?
Are the item boxes in completely different spots, or is it just the route through the mansion is different, or police station? Sorry, so you just aren't able to get to them as easily?
It's only that one item box that isn't there in the B scenario. Everything else is in the same place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the one in the main hall was a little too convenient for a harder difficulty.
Yeah. There are a few items locations that are remixed. For example, the B scenario character can get the box that goes with the red gem way early, so you can get into the locker in the STARS office and the special weapons case down in the underground. Basically the moment you get to them. Which is good because it gives you a bit more oomph to your weapon supply, which is definitely welcome with all these lickers lurking around.
Now, what exactly, besides the removal of the item box in the main hallway, makes B scenario more difficult than A.
It
And not just different.
it really kind of doesn't is the thing.
It's more of like a remix thing. There's enemies in places where there shouldn't be. The lickers start showing up way earlier. The Mr. X shows up way earlier, and you have a much more of a runaround trying to get these combinations for the medallions. But after you get past that point, it basically becomes hi.
Hi, Liquor.
In the original game, was the B scenario the harder difficulty?
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
What
it was.
did they change anything more intrinsic to make that harder, like zombie stats or anything like that?
In the original
No.
game, there were these things that you could do in the A scenario that would affect things in the B scenario that were really obtuse, and I have no idea why people like them, because there's no way to get to get them to do what you want without a guide.
Oh
Or,
yeah,
like,
because you said
dozens of
like if you
playthrough.
leave certain items, you can leave certain items for the B
Okay,
character to make it easier. But it's
Okay,
like, how would
like
you know to
yeah,
do
there's
that?
there's that, but then there's like okay, there's these two switch boxes that you can put a wire in, right? And they'll shut a shutter in a specific hallway. How am I supposed to know that if I shut one of those shutters, zombies are going to bust through the windows in that hallway early on into the B scenario before the A scenario character has the chance to get to this very close to the end of the game item? What's the chronological sequence there? I'm really lost.
That's where it gets video gamey
Yeah.
and doesn't exactly make sense.
Because I do like the idea, but it's one of those things where it kind of goes against the natural inclination of you as a player. Like the one that makes the most sense for me is if you take this item, then Leon won't have it in the B scenario. It's like, okay, that makes sense, and it's not so much a punishment, but it's just like, okay, that makes sense within the world. But it's also one of those things where you would never expect the player to willingly give up a good item.
The one place where you can do that, it actually tells you I should leave this other item for Claire. You just don't get that notice until you've taken your first item. So it's a tactical decision that you're not alerted to until after you've already made the first vital part of the tactical decision.
So there's two items there, and you take one and leave the other for the other.
Yeah,
person.
yeah. There's an inventory upgrade, and then there's a submachine gun, and basically whichever one you take first, or whichever one or ones you leave, gets to be there in the B scenario. You can leave them both and just save them both for the B scenario if you want.
Well, in that situation, the A scenario character seems really stupid, but
Well, but like the zapping system, as it was called, that's a really stupid name.
Yeah, I never got the name Zapping.
I don't get it either. I'm lost. I'm so lost. But
Well, you're in a police station.
the zapping system wasn't preserved here at all. When they first said that the
No.
zapping system wouldn't show up, people took it to mean that there wouldn't be A and B scenarios, which was somewhat slightly true. But that wasn't what they were talking about when they said it. They were talking about the decisions you could make in the A scenario that would affect things like the B scenario, like spreading the P epsilon gas stuff on the plant monsters in the A scenario would make them poisonous in the B scenario. But if you saved it for the B scenario, you could just have an easier time in the B scenario with zero consequences. That kind of thing. But it was a really dubious system in the original because, like, everything else outside of those, like, 4 or 5 little instances, everything else was just in the same place no matter what. You would always have to find the same key items. Oh yeah, and there's supposed to be a Mr. Raccoon there.
Okay. Yeah, if they really wanted it to work and make logical sense, there would have had to be 2 solutions to every puzzle.
Yeah.
Or just completely split make 2 separate games, which doesn't seem feasible.
Yeah. The thing is, I actually think that the zapping system as it existed in the original wouldn't have jived as well with this super serious Resi 2 remake as it would as it did in the original game. Because, like, in this old-ass PS1 game, you can take a few gamey elements that make 0 sense. But in this, like, really realistic, serious version of Resident Evil 2, if I were to like do the shutter puzzle in the A scenario, and then in the B scenario stuff went to hell for no apparent reason before I had a chance to get there, it would clash. I feel that's my feeling on it. So in that sense, if I had to choose between having the zapping system as it existed and not having it at all, I'd rather not have it at all. But at the same time, I really would have liked to see what they could have done with it if they had taken it further.
It is an interesting concept, and I can't think of a game off of the top of my head that tries to do something similar. I mean, I'm sure there is one, but that's why I said off the top of my head.
The closest thing I can think of is like save import changes that happen in certain games like Mass Effect or Dragon Age.
Yeah, but even then, that's with a sequel and not within the same game.
Yeah, and there's like Shining Force 3 had some similar stuff. Like if you didn't kill a specific general, they might join your party in a later scenario, which is more relevant, I suppose, because Shining Force 3's scenarios were sequels, I suppose, but you also played as different characters. And it was a sort of an interconnected story between several different armies, I suppose. I haven't had a chance to actually play the other scenarios of Shining Force 3 yet, because they haven't been released here. And
It's raining men.
That's a woman. That's a woman.
Oh.
It's raining women.
No, the correct joke to make is "This is my kind of rain." The Devil May Cry 3 line when Lady falls from the sky. So, yeah.
Yeah, true.
And there's the
Capcom.
reference sailing straight over me. Wow, hi reference. I didn't recognize you at all.
What, you mean you haven't seen the cutscene where Dante tries to hit on Lady and gets shot in the fucking face?
No.
Well, you should watch it. It's hilarious. Seeing Dante get shot in the face is always funny. It's like seeing...
Almost because it has no consequences for him.
Yeah, it's like seeing Snow get punched. Like, he never learns anything, but it's funny.
Well, I mean, at least he has to deal with a black eye. Like, if Dante gets shot in the face, he doesn't even need major reconstructive surgery.
Yeah, the second time she shoots him, he catches it in his teeth.
Kinky, I guess?